Hey everybody, welcome back to Creative Restorations. My name is Doug Giles, as always. I want to start out by saying I'm sorry it's taken so long for me to get back into doing some YouTube videos with the coronavirus and everything going around. It's really put a lot of stress on me with doing a lot of other projects, and it just hasn't given me the time to get in and really do much of anything as far as making videos is concerned. So anyway, I thought I'd do something a little bit different. Some of you have actually seen my recovering a pool table video that I did about a year ago, and I thought I'd do something on the same lines as that, and that's going to be replacing the rubber on a set of rails. There's a lot of different ways to do it, and I know there's going to be look, there's going to be a lot of guys out there that watch this video that are actually pool table installers like myself, and you're going to say, that's not the way to do it. Well, you know, plain simple fact of the matter is there's more than one way to skin a cat. And trust me, as far as doing pool table rails are concerned, I've tried just about every other way, and I found a way that I like. I found a way that's very effective, and it gives me a very, very consistent product that my customers love. You know, I've done lots and lots and lots of pool table rubber over the past almost 30 years now. I've replaced a lot of it. There's probably going to be some stuff that I neglect to say in the video, but you know, feel free, write down in the comments below, ask questions. If I missed something, ask me questions. I'm more than happy to help people figure out how to do this stuff. You know, there's no, like I said, there's no one set way of doing anything, especially when it comes to any kind of service work. There's a right way and there's a wrong way. There's actually multiple right ways. Mine just happens to be one of them. So anyway, I'll try to, this is going to be a voiceover video for the most part. It takes a little while to do the rubber, so I'm probably going to be doing fast forward or fast motion on this video. So and I'll try to explain everything that I'm doing along the way, and the tools that I use, and also tools and glue that I use. So be right back.
So guys, I start out by using an angle grinder to go in and just knock off the high spots of the old glue, the residual glue that's left behind after I've pulled the rubber off. Now, I didn't show me pulling the rubber off. I didn't think about doing a video until after I had gotten started with this. So, but anyway, like I said, I'm using a grinding wheel here, an angle grinder with a grinding wheel. I'm not using a cutoff wheel, I'm using a grinding wheel. And it's an extremely light touch. All I'm looking to do is get the overwhelming majority of the glue off of the surface of the rail. You know, I've seen where other guys will, you know, use a paint scraper or whatever. I find that most of the time when I'm going to recover a pool table, or I'm going to redo the rubber on the rails, you know, there's just too much of a chance of digging in, and that's going to cause more work. If you happen to pull wood away from, you know, separate the wood, and you get splintering, that has to be fixed. You have to start off with a nice level foundation. You know, usually you backfill that back in. Any splintering or anything, you backfill that back in with Bondo. Fill it back in, smooth it out and everything, and, you know, carry on. Now I'm using a sanding block. Right now I'm using 100 grit sandpaper, and I'm about to remove it, and I have 60 grit underneath. You want to get as much of the old glue off as possible. If it doesn't all come off, it's no big deal. If you use the right glue, which we're about to get to next, if you use the right glue, it should amalgamate back into any existing glue that's on there that the factory may have used. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to dust off, get rid of all of the, any glue particles or anything that we've just sanded off. And then we're going to move on to gluing. But in order to glue up, you need to use the right glue, which is barge glue. Stop the video here, look up this glue. I buy it locally at Tandy Leather Supply. We have a Tandy Leather Supply here locally, and they sell it by the gallon. If you're doing one pool table, you can buy a quart of it. It's still expensive, runs about $30 for a quart of it. If you have to order it online, you might expect to see a hazmat fee on there because it is flammable. Don't try to use Wellwood contact cement. It's nowhere near strong enough to do pool table rails. And definitely do not use CA glue or super glue. Same thing. CA glue, super glue, same thing. Don't use it. If you want to have problems down the road of not being able to get the rubber back off of the table without tearing up the wood, use CA glue. But that's why I don't use it. It will tear up the wood. Another thing too, if you happen to think that if you're one of these guys, I digress. This is not a job that you really want to be doing in a customer's home. If you're a pool table mechanic, don't do this job in somebody's home. There's a really good chance you're going to splinter up their rails as you're trying to get the old rubber off. And, it's the old saying, if you want to make eggs, or, in order to make omelets, you're going to break some eggs. Well, customers don't need to see you breaking eggs to make their omelet. They just don't need to see that. And if you're a professional, if you know what you're doing, then, the damage that happens as a result of taking the rubber off is easily fixed. You know that, I know that, well, anybody listening now knows that. It's easily fixed, Bondo. But the customers don't necessarily know that, and it's, you don't need to freak them out by, tearing apart their table in front of them. So anyway, like I said, the barge cement, it works very similar to the Wellwood contact cement. It's a contact cement. It's just an industrial grade. You apply it exact same way you would any other contact cement. Apply it to one side, apply it to the other, let it dry, and then stick them together. That's what I'm doing here. I've already done the rail itself. Now we're doing the rubber. And like I said, you really want to let this stuff sit until it's almost, you put your fingers on it, it's dry to the touch. But believe me, when it touches the other surface that you glued, it's stuck. It's stuck. Permanently, not coming back apart. I use it for leather work as well. You may see in the background some of my leather working tools as well, and my huge block of granite. I do leather work as well. I use the barge glue for that. Probably a little overkill for leather work, but hey, it works. So we finished coating out the rubber. We're going to let it sit. Give the last little bit. We'll put the rubber off to the side along with the rail. Try to keep the rubbers and the rails together that you've done at the same time. And then when it's done, we're going to put it on. Now, for anybody worried about it, you see me putting this rail inside that bench vise. Don't worry, my bench vise is lined with leather, so not going to mar up anything. And then too, I'm not cranking down on it. It's just there to hold it in place, hold it upright for me. Now I'm using my index finger on my right hand. Since I'm right-handed, I'm using my index finger on my right hand to guide the rubber down so that it's perfectly even with the top, going little by little, maybe ½ inch at a time. And I'm pressing it into place. And this is not the final pressing. This is just to make sure I've got it completely lined up. Yeah, I said earlier that it's not coming apart once it touches. You can still pull it back apart as long as you don't press it down too hard. It'll still come apart. So if you make a mistake, you can kind of pull it back up and reset it. I'm going to go grab a mallet. The mallet isn't necessarily. It's not necessary. And I start to pound it there, and I said, nope, that's not a good place. So let's set this back down. I hit it with a mallet to kind of firm it up a little bit more. Get the bond a little bit tighter. Forgive the camera shake here. Then I'm going to use my weight, the whole weight of my upper body, to press it down harder. All the way across. Check the end. Make sure the end is nice and attached. And then I'm going to use the force of my thumbs. Every little bit helps. And once it's together, we'll go ahead and we'll mark out where we want to cut. So I'll grab a straight edge. And you're not going to be able to see it yet, and I'll get to it. You'll see in a few minutes. You line it up exactly with the cut that's made on the wood. Start with the top. Always start with the top. And then mark your bottom. And I think I moved the camera around here so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So I can show you. So if you notice, I'm going to line up the ruler right smack in line with the edge. And you do it on both sides. Doesn't matter whether you're talking about a corner pocket or a side pocket. You line it up with the outside of that edge. And you make a mark. Again, always do your top side first. And then you line up the bottom and you connect your line from the top. That's where you're going to stop, and you line it up at the bottom, right to that point of the wood, and then connect it. That tells you exactly where that should be, and that's going to be a compound miter. For every pocket on a pool table should have a compound miter. In other words, if you were cutting it with a saw, imagine a miter saw that the whole saw will tip over left to right, and it'll swing left to right. Well, it would have, in order to do a compound miter, you would tilt it and swing it. If you were doing just a regular miter, you would either tilt it or swing it. So one portion of it would be at 90 degrees and the other portion would be at say 45 degrees or 12 degrees or whatever. That's a single miter. I think they call it I think it's called a single miter. But a compound miter is going to have it's going to be cut in two directions. Now, I use a Dexter knife. It's I don't know if it's designed for doing this, but anyway, I'm cutting long. I am not cutting all the way to that line. I'm trying to get close, but I'm not cutting exactly on the line. I'm leaving overhang. So I want the rubber to be a little bit longer than where I marked it. And I'm going to do it on both sides. And again, don't cut all the way up to the line. If you cut all the way up to the line, chances are you're going to leave well, first of all, you're not going to get it straight. You're going to cut too much or you're going to cut too little. Or you're going to do both. You're going to cut too little on the back end, or you're going to cut too much somewhere. So the best bet is always to leave it long and come back, and I like to call it sneaking up on it and fine tuning it back into where you want it. So if you notice the bottom, I left it long, but I want to get rid of some more of that excess, but not all of it. And you'll see why in just a few minutes. So there we go. I left it long. I left it long there. And I still have my marks there as to where it needs to be. And we'll do it one more time. So you see me marking it out. Mark it out on the other side. Sorry you can't see me, but that's all I did. Just put a quick mark. Line it up. Connect it. Line it up. Connect it. That's where my cut's going to be. Actually, let me rephrase that. That's not where my cut is going to be. That's where I want it to ultimately end up. I'm always going to cut long. I'm always going to leave it cut long. Don't try to use a serrated knife or anything like that. If you do, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Just, again, make sure if you leave your cuts long, you'll see in the next portion of this how we fix that. If you use a serrated knife, you're gonna tear it up. Which, like I said, is not the end of the world. If you leave your cuts cut long, you can clean up those serrated cuts. But don't try to get it. Don't try to get exactly where it's supposed to be the first try. It's not going to happen. I know of guys that work in the factories, and they don't try to get this done in one shot. Pool table manufacturers the guys that work in the pool table manufacturers don't even try most of the time to get that cut in the first try. So don't try it. Alright, so we've got all 6 of our rails cut. Now we're going to go back to our angle grinder. And this is where you're leaving it, where you're going to clean up that length. Again, very, very lightly. This takes a light hand. I am not pushing hard on this. I'm not grinding metal. I'm not grinding wood. I'm grinding rubber. And I'm using a very powerful tool to do it. A tool that can very easily get away from you if you start really pressing in hard. So don't press in hard. Do it really lightly. Go very little at a time. If you get rid of most of the excess, then, trimming it away like this is going to be, you'll make quick work of it. Now, I use it, I saw one video of a guy, he used a Dremel to do this. Don't do that. Turn them way too fast. You're going to end up smoking up the rubber. It's going to stink. Burning rubber smells absolutely wretched. Don't do it. A sander moves too slow. You're not really going to cut anything away. A Dremel moves way too fast. You're going to end up burning it. I find that the angle grinder moves just about the right speed. It's just about the right coarseness. If you're going nice and slow and using the leading edge of that grinder, you can sneak right back up onto those lines and it'll be perfect. Now, also, I didn't say this, but you know how we cleaned up the wood at the beginning? Well, we're doing the same thing here. As we're sneaking back on that rubber to fine tune it into exactly where it goes, I'm also using the grinder to clean up any residual glue from the rail facing. So that any residual glue that's on that wood right there, I'm using that grinder to clean that off as well. So now we've got a nice foundation for new glue and the new rail facings. That's me doing it right there. That quick movement that you saw, that's just me cleaning up the wood. And again, very, very, very light touch. And as you can see, it's pretty dusty. I would recommend you doing this outside. But perfect results every single time. Every time. Nice and clean. So once we've got all 6 rails, it's time to put on our rail facings. Same procedure, nothing new here. Again, using barge glue. Now you got 4 side ends of rails, so they give you 4 short rail facings, and you got 8 corners of rails, 4 rails for corner pockets, and 2 end rails are going to have 1 each, so they give you 8 total of those, which equals your 12 sides. Don't mix them up. Don't accidentally put one of the long ones on a corner. I'm sorry, don't put one of the long ones on one of the side pockets. Now, rail facings, they make backed, where they put a canvas backing on it. They make unbacked. My preference is the unbacked ones. They tend to be a little easier to work with. I haven't really noticed much of a difference in the way that they perform on a pool table, so that's what I use. And again, let it dry for about an hour or so, and then you can stick them together. And I take the back corner, top back corner, and line it up with the bottom of the feather strip, or the very top of the feather strip channel. You'll see me doing that here. Line it up with the very top. Don't worry about a little bit. You want to get it close to the top on the whole rail. On that whole end, you want to get it close to the top, and then tap it down. Again, not hitting it too terribly hard, just trying to get that glue to seat with each other. Make them play nice with each other. And then again, we're going to go back to our knife. And the rail facings cut a little easier than the rails itself. We're going to square off the bottom. And then on the top, again, just like with the rubber, leave it long. Don't try to cut it all at once. Don't try to get it exactly flush using the knife. You know, rubber is one of those things, when you're replacing the rubber on a pool table, it doesn't matter whether you're talking about the rubber or the rail facings. If you take too much off, you can't put it back. So it's much easier to leave it long and sneak up on it and fine tune it than what it is to, cut it too short, and then you have to redo the whole thing. And eventually you figure out, well, it's best if I leave it long. And then we're going to go back to our grinder. And I mean extremely light touch. A little bit too much pressure, you'll gouge into it. Extremely light touch. And go back and feel. If you feel it high, go back in a little bit more. And I mean it's an extremely light touch with the tip of that grinder. I mean, you can't even feel when you're doing it. You have to really pay attention to what you're doing. And I only left about 1/8 of an inch of extra on there. You see how many times I'm going back over it. That's how light it is. But if I touched it a little bit too hard, it would take it all out completely and it would gouge up the rubber. Put my curve on the nose. And just so it looks nice, we'll clean up the bottom. Make sure that it's absolutely flush across there. And then we'll do the other side. Again, you can see it's just light. That's how light I'm pressing that grinder into there. Just not even pressing at all. If you feel the grinder hit, you've gone too far. Catch the top. Get our profile. Feel it. Does it feel right? Push the feather strip out of the way. Go back and feel it. Does it feel like it's flush? If it feels flush, you're there. Stop. Doesn't feel it, go back in, do just a touch more. Get our profile. Repeat the process 5 more times and you've got it. You're done. And that's the end result. That's the end result of replacing the rubber. As you can see, perfect. So let's get into recovering it now. This particular customer wanted a two-tone. He decided go with charcoal gray rails with a steel gray bed. And I always start out by taking all my rail material out, get the feather strip out. There is a top and a bottom to the cloth. Most of the time it will be labeled. The face side, as you're installing it, the face side goes upside down. And no, I'm not going to tell you my tricks for recovering rails. If you can pick it up, with as fast as I'm going here, then good on you. But I'm not going to teach you how to. This is more of a hands-on type of thing to replace cloth. So much of it is done by feel. I use a pneumatic stapler. I know guys will use electric staplers. I've blown through so many electric staplers trying them out. Don't like them. I've done manual staplers. Hate manual staplers. Oh, by the way, on this particular one, you see where the feather strip is broken. No big deal. Push it back together. Keep going. If they break up into a gazillion pieces while you're trying to take the cloth out, replace it. And don't worry, you'll get a better shot of everything that I've done, or the completed pool table, at the end of the video. So after I'm done talking at the end of the video, don't click away. You get to see the whole table afterwards. And I use a little bit of tape. Doesn't matter whether I'm using masking tape or I'm using a little bit of duct tape just to hold the feather strip in place while I'm working on the rails. That way I keep the feather strip with the correct rail, the correct feather strip with the correct rail at all times. Finally, we're down to the last one. Put everything away and look at that. That's beautiful. No wrinkles, no bulges, no high spots, no low spots. That's just pool table perfection right there.
So there you go, guys. That's pretty much start to finish. Recovering a set of rails, changing out the rubber on a set of rails, rail facings. Sorry I didn't show how I actually removed the rubber on there. There's a few things. Actually, I think I went over that with you in the voiceover portion of this, as far as repairing the rails. If you happen to peel up if the wood starts to peel on you as you're taking the rubber off, that has to be repaired. Otherwise, there's no kind of foundation underneath for your rubber. So make sure you get that repaired. If you go to tackle a job like this, there are some specialty tools that you'll need. Not everything that I have is completely specialty. I mean, you can buy it. You can buy the cloth. You can buy the rubber. You can buy the rails, the rubber, the rail facings. You can buy all that stuff. Can you do this job with just a regular manual hand stapler? Yeah, you can. It'd kill your wrist. Trust me, I know. That's how I started out when doing pool tables. That's how I started out. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. Electric staplers, they're okay. I couldn't tell you how many of those I've broken over the years. They don't hold up. But look, if all you're doing is one pool table, it'll probably work fine for you. But anyway, like I said before, if there's anything that I haven't gone over that you think you've missed, feel free, write a comment down below. Ask me questions. Like I said, I've been doing this now for right at 30 years. I got started doing pool tables in 1991. So next year will be 30 years I've been doing pool tables. So, and again, I know I said this in the onset, you know, this might not be the way, some of you pool table technicians out there, this might not be the way that you do it. This is the way I do it, and as you can see from the results, it works very well. You might have other ways of doing it. I'm not trying to be snobbish or anything like that. I'm really not interested in finding another way of doing this. After 30 years of doing things a specific way, I'm really not looking to try to learn new tricks. This works very well. So if you're somebody just trying to figure out how to do this from the get-go, this should be a good tutorial for you. If it's not, well, it'll be a good start. Maybe between my video and some other people's videos, you might be able to figure it out even better. I don't know. But anyway, like, comment, and subscribe. Give me some comments down below, and hit that subscribe button. This side, that side. Anyway, see you next go around.